Now, here's a Titan that absolutely, probably, three of you probably remember. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're taking a look at the latest piece of kaiju fodder from the MonsterVerse, the Drownviper. Yes, this is part of the next figure we're going to be taking a look at in the ever-growing line of Playmates' MonsterVerse stuff, formerly just the Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire line. Basically, this figure is based on, of course, the Drownviper, which was a throwaway Titan. Sadly throwaway, because I think that this guy had a lot of potential, but really only got 30 seconds of screen time before ultimately being killed off. Probably not even 30. Anyway, so yeah, basically he's based on that specific Titan where Zuko tries to not ambush, but trick Kong into going in a lake that he knows that has the Drownviper in it, trying to kill him, and Kong ends up fighting with the Drownviper while Zuko runs away, and Kong comes out on top. Here is that kaiju in figure form. Now, as of this recording, this is the only figure we have of the Drownviper, so it is going to be a little bit hard for me to really review this thing and trying to compare it and make it fair. And also, it's kind of weird that they haven't made a figure of Scylla yet, but yeah, we do with the Drownviper. Anyways. So, with that said, with this being my latest figure and my next one being One Eye and Tiamat before I finally finish off the GXK line, will this be another great addition, or will it just be another piece of, just like I said, kaiju fodder? Let's find out. So, for sculpt and paint, let's take a look at the head. Yeah, we're just kind of jumping into it because he actually doesn't really come with an accessory. I get why, because the Drownviper doesn't really utilize anything aside from just a patch of water. But I do find it interesting how Playmates really did skip out on a cool accessory idea, the decapitated head for it, because at the end of the fight, we actually get a look at the Drownviper's head up close, and yeah, it is a very, very not so well done sight. Anyway, for the face, it's actually done pretty well for a Playmates figure, because we have the top rails, which are going to be pretty much all blue with some folds in there. You got 1, 2, 3 spikes of horns. And of course you have the eye. Now initially when I saw this, because keep in mind it was a Titan that only appeared for 30 seconds, you didn't get really a good look at it. So I actually went to re-watch the scene specifically for this review. When looking at the eye, it is a black pupil with a yellow eyeball. Okay, seems fair. That's actually not what that is. If I remember back to the scene specifically, the black part is actually the eye itself, while the yellow is actually just the outline of the eye. Basically a line out. It's an outline, whatever. Anyway, so as a result, this kind of almost makes it look more fish-like, because fish do have these eyes, even though I do think they can move their eyes. But anyway, yeah, it just looks very goofy and very googly. I mean, just look at that front profile. Anyway, so yeah, the yellow does look pretty well and actually stands out from the abundance of blue, and you are going to see a lot of the blue. So here for the detail of the scales, I will say the scaling details actually done very well for a Playmates toy. You have the front scaling, which has a ton of different line and texture, and then you have the sides of it, which continue that waviness of the actual design, kind of turning the figure underneath this way. And you do get a bit of more the white, because the entirety of the underside of the figure is going to be of a white colorization. And then, of course, you have all the segmenting from the neck. Very nice, very cool. Going to the inside of the mouth, though, that's actually kind of where I really do like it. The tongue and the gum paint, it's going to be primarily all one color. And I do like how it looks overall. We do have the nicely sculpted tongue. We do actually have some details at the top of the mouth, and as well as the teeth, which are not necessarily accurate to the film, because the film's teeth, the design-wise, were a lot more narrow, and there was a lot more of it. Here, Playmates simplified it and just made these bigger, more piranha-esque teeth, which, hey, I totally understand why. And of course, we got this massive jaw spike. Very, very awesome. I wonder if that's his way of going, just pretty much pressing them right on down, and they have a bit of stripe of blue. And that basically covers the head. Like, just showing you this side, just for extra. There you go. Mine's got like a bit of excess paint from the teeth here. I actually thought like originally that was like plastic. No, that's just part of the paint. Anyway, for the next segment, because this figure is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 segments. Like, damn. Again, we have more like the frills here. They're all made of like a rubbery material, as well as like the whole figure is basically just made of like a soft plastic, and it's in a pre-post position, so that kind of tappers into the articulation. But we do have a lot of nice yellow detailing here, as well as like a set of what I would assume to be like some sort of gill type thing. I'm not entirely sure. Like, it kind of like caves in. You see what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I'm assuming that's the gill. I don't know anatomy of fish or eels for that matter. Anyway, so for the yellow, we actually do have like a bit of like line work here for the underside as well. A lot of nice curvature and detail. I love how like directly curls down on it, pretty much on itself, and kind of curls in this way. Taking a look at the detail inside here, it looks pretty nice. And again, the scaling actually does look pretty well refined. This segment is going to be like an L bracket where it completely turns and twists its body. And again, pretty much rinse and repeat on the thing. Rubber details, as you can see. Lots of nice yellow paint applications, just to show you on the other side here as well. This is the segment we were just leaving off of. I think there's the copyright info. I swear to God, this figure's so huge. Okay, so there's the copyright info. I don't really know how to get a good look at it. There you go. In case you just want to read that little label. Let's go to the next one. Again, I'm trying to like get everything here on camera. It's just really hard because of like how different of a figure this is. I've never had a serpentine like Titan before, not even Manda. But yeah, just to show you, pretty much like what I find interesting is like the little webbing like in between actually kind of stops right here. I wonder if that's like that on the actual design. And then it just kind of goes to like basic spikes, and then of course you have like the yellow stripes. Those look pretty cool. Very nice, honestly. Lots of nice compact detail until we get to the end of it, which is a lot more, again, a bit more like a frill type. It's actually pretty soft back here. Very awesome, I'll say. Very nicely detailed. I think like a dry brushing would have been needed, but just show you the other side very quickly. There you go. And of course, the underside. And that's pretty much about it. Overhead, I can give you a bit of a look at there. Trying to like line up everything because this figure is quite complex, but also pretty simplistic too. But there you go. That is basically the sculpt and paint of the Drownviper. In all honesty, I think that the sculpt and paint for what it is actually pretty good. I do enjoy it at the end of the day. Do I have like any personal critiques with it? Not really. I mean, maybe that mouth paint could have been cleaned up a little bit more. Maybe they could have added like some sort of dry brush or wash to like bring out some more better, finer details and separate the more like top fins from the actual body. But that said, that's really just a nitpick. For a $10 Playmates toy, that's actually really not that bad. I dig that. And honestly, I'm gonna have to go with like an 8 out of 10. I really do enjoy it. There's not much I can hate. Actually, you know, I'm gonna bump that up to a 0.5. There's really not much I can say that hasn't like, that I really don't hate about this thing. It's a bit complex, like as far as the length of it goes, but it just visually looks great. And I would even say it looks better than some of the other Godzilla and Kong figures that they released. So there you go. Now for articulation. jaw can move on a hinge, so you can go out and in, out and in. For the head, we can go down about that bar, up about that bar, left and right, and go a full 360. Although what I find interesting is popping off the head. So I guess if you want to customize it or whatever to make it a decapitated head, go right ahead, is that the jaw and the ball peg here are actually connected. See, how I found that out was I decided to pop it off because, well, I wanted to see what it would look like. I mean, I don't really know what I was expecting. But I accidentally pushed on the ball joint. It was kind of already like that, but then I noticed that the jaw moved. So if you push it, you can kind of get a bit more range out of the jaw. So if you really want to go that route, go be my guest. But do keep in mind, you do kind of run the risk of moving that ball peg out of place. So take that for what you will. Also, the entire figure is made of a soft plastic. So if you pop off the joint, it's not going to like have a hard time going back in. Anyways. For the next segment, which we're going to have a full 360-degree rotation, go up, down, side to side, all that good stuff. Third, which we can go pretty much all the way around. Same old good stuff, just like that. Let's actually move the camera upwards here. So there we go. Nice. For the tail here, which we can go up, down, and pretty much like all the way around, just like that. Do keep in mind that the entire figure is pre-sculpted, so if you try to like straighten it out, it'll look like that. Next segment, a little tighter than the last one. Some of the tightness of these figures, specifically this one, is going to be a bit mixed. And then you get one last segment here, which I've got a little bit of a problem with, specifically because, like, there you go. If you notice, the ball peg socket here is a bit, like, uneven. So at this point, it kind of, like, clips onto the actual socket like this. And you kind of see what I mean by that, right? Kind of scrapes up against it. It was like that out of the box, so... For posability, I would say that this thing is actually pretty fun. You can get this thing into a bit of poses. It's not necessarily the most posable thing in the world. Like, its neutral position would be something like this, like with its head reared up and its body twisted like this. But for what it's worth, you can really kind of like extend it out like this if you really wanted to. Maybe have it turning the opposite direction, or maybe have like this, like a sea monster. I mean, that's effectively what this is. But yeah, essentially the sky's the limit with this. You can do a lot with this figure. Although, do keep in mind that it is pre-posed, so that could become an issue. But as far as the articulation goes, I'm going to say, what's a fair rating for this? I'm going to say 8 out of 10, because I do like the ball joints that are used here. Anyways, for some brief size comparisons, here he is with like fully reared up as much as I can get him into. This kind of like reared up pose up against the main stars of the film, Godzilla. Well, main star, I use him loosely. And Kong with the battle axe, which is kind of like meant to be the figure he's paired with. And you know, it's something I kind of realized, like, of course, let's get this out of the way. He is massive. I'm sure this is at least close to size accurate, but this is huge. Like, he's bigger than Godzilla, and he's bigger than Kong. Granted, as far as like size goes, if you want to talk about like actual film scale, Godzilla should be like a bit up to here, because he did grow quite a bit in this new movie when he evolved, at least. Maybe not this specific energized Godzilla, which I still think you're kind of an ugly duckling. Anyway, as for these two, in the film, I'm sure that this, well, there you go, does work, but this is just like one hell of a display. And here he is with the other, what are essentially the biggest in the line, like as far as the MonsterVerse United Legacy scale line is concerned, as far as the 6-inch basic figures, the two biggest, Shimo and Ghidorah. And somehow this thing still towers, even over Ghidorah's like top wings, the top of the wings. Yeah, he's still taller. I wonder if like he's still taller than Shimo standing up. That would be insane. If he's somehow taller than Shimo standing up, I'm actually gonna be embarrassed. Oh my god. It's close. It's actually really close, but the Drownviper, counting the top spike, barely edges out Shimo. And as far as scale goes, let's bump it up a little bit and go with the Titan Tech figures, with Kong and Godzilla in their fully armored positions. And as far as size goes, the Drownviper still is not champion, but it's pretty close. Like, I would say Godzilla at the top back spike about matches the Drownviper, and the top intent of Kong about matches the top spike of the Drownviper. But yes, it's incredible to think that this figure is so just big. It doesn't even feel like a Godzilla or Kong figure, really. And because I wanted to try this, here he is with the SH Monster Arts Godzilla 2021 Godzilla Ultima from Godzilla Singular Point. And you might be wondering why I brought this guy in. Well, because he's the longest 6-inch Godzilla figure I own, well, scale-wise, I wanted to know, of the two, which one is technically, so to speak, the longer figure, all things stretched out. So, ready? I can't even show it all on camera, can I? They're tied. I actually don't believe it. They're literally tied with each other. You can't make this up. And yes, he can wrap around your figures. So, bringing in this light once again, what do I overall think of this figure? Well, I think that the Playmates Drownviper is actually a really cool figure, all things considered. Knocking over my tripod, there we go. He's a very unique piece. I honestly wish I picked up Warbat and Tiamat, because both of those figures are essentially the serpentine-like creatures of the MonsterVerse. And if Drownviper's as cool as he is, who's to say that Tiamat and Warbat aren't any cooler? Granted, yes, I do think Warbat might be a bit outdated, and I'm really hoping Playmates reissues them, because I don't want to pick up a bootleg from AliExpress, but I might have to anyway. This figure really is something, and I'm super happy to own him. I definitely don't think he's perfect, but he's definitely cool. He's very big, and shockingly might be the only figure of the GXK figures, the line, that I can't fit onto the shelf because of how big he actually is. He can't really wrap around any other figures because they're just not that big. It's all united in one scale except for the Drownviper, which makes you wonder why Playmates decided to just scale this guy up. Anyways, as for my final rating, I'm going to give this guy an 8 out of 10. One of Playmates' best figures, actually, I would say. Actually, let's go bump that up to a 0.5. I feel like this figure's shelf size deserves it. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everyone.